Hi, I'm Effie and this is What Effie Reads. Today we are kicking off a December's worth of videos with a kind of cozy one. I don't know. We're going to be talking about the books on my wish list that I guess most wanting this year. And because it is December and I am filming this in December, I have got my cozy hooded blanket thing on because it's cold. And who's got money for heating in this economy? Okay, we've popped the hood down. I don't know if I'm going to regret this in editing because my curl pattern apparently is just chaos at the moment. So this is a video that I made last year and I felt like, why not make it again this year? The intention is not for me to sit here and say, buy me books. The point of this video is to talk about the books that have caught my eye this year, possibly last year as well, because there's some books that are on my wish list that I know I talked about in my video last year. But just to talk about the books that I don't own that I really would like to read. None of the books that are on this wish list are books that I own. That is a separate thing and I can make a separate video of favourite books that I don't physically own. If you would like, please comment down below if you are interested. And whilst I'm doing the whole like, comment, subscribe thing, if you're on desktop, have a look and see if the like button and the subscribe button lights up when I say those words, because I recently discovered that and I think that's really cool. So comment if it does it for you, I suppose. Just all the comments. Talk to me. I'm lonely. Okay, that sounded really desperate. I'm so sorry. Right. So how this video is going to work is I have my phone here and I'm going to shift over just a wee bit. Right. And I'm going to pop on screen a screen recording of my phone. I'm hoping I have enough storage on my phone to be able to record it all, but I will try not to kind of chat too long about any of the books so I don't need too much storage. So I'm going to go through a wish list on Amazon. It's the wish list that's always linked in my description. At least I think it is. If it's not, I've done something silly all year long. But it's just called like top Christmas wishes or top wishes. But basically I'm just going to show it on screen and kind of run through the books that are on that list. So I guess the first thing to do is to get my screen recorder running and get Amazon running. As you can see, I have many wish lists just to keep myself organised. The more observant of you might be able to peek or guess at what at least one of my videos this month is going to be. But let's go to the top wishes list. And I'm going to start at the bottom because they're the oldest books on the list. So at the very bottom of the list we have Mouse, which is a graphic novel by Spiegelman. Apparently my mouth didn't like saying that word for some reason. And I'm not usually someone who enjoys stories around World War One and World War Two, but obviously I've heard incredible things about this book and I just think I would really enjoy it. It's a graphic novel set, as you might be able to guess from the picture, during World War II, and I believe it's a story that's loosely based on the artist's actual family. The next book is another one that, well, the next few are books that have been on my list for a while. So we've got Moonlight, Love and Witchcraft. And I believe this is a cozy fantasy, which it's a vampire one. That makes sense why it's on my list, because you will see there are a few vampire books on my list. So yeah, it's a cozy fantasy, cozy romance, which apparently I have to be in exactly the right mood for. But it just, like, look at that cover and don't tell me that doesn't sound just adorable. And then we've got Better Off Red by Rebekah Weatherspoon and My Soul to Keep by Tananarive Dew, and those are both classic vampire books, and they are both by Black authors, which I feel like at least my previous kind of reading of the vampire canon has been very white, so I deliberately want to read more Black vampire stories, and those are kind of the two Black vampire stories I really, really want to read. Obviously the Gilda stories are an important part of the Black vampire canon, but I've read those. Fantastic, by the way. Highly recommend the Gilda stories by Jewel Gomez if you are a fan of vampires and have not picked them up yet. Also, I have no idea when it's coming out, but when I happened to speak to Donielle Clayton last month, she said that she's writing a full-length adult novel based on her vampire story in Vampires Never Get Old. So I am so looking forward to that. And you can bet that is going to be at the top of my wish list when that gets announced. Anyway, that was me getting sidetracked. The next book is a non-fiction, and it's Vampires, Burial and Death, Folklore and Reality. This is a book all about kind of the stories that have formed the vampire canon and the way that folklore and human nature and whatnot has influenced everything, I guess. It's a book that my dad has spoken very highly of in the past, and given that I apparently adore vampires quite a lot, if you can't pick that up by now, it's something that I really want to read for myself. I will admit I don't read a lot of non-fiction, but it seems like exactly the kind of non-fiction that I would enjoy. The next book is Arch-Conspirator by Veronica Roth. This is a Antigone retelling. I think it's a sci-fi Antigone retelling. Let's have a look. Yes, sci-fi retelling. I adore the story of Antigone. It's one that I feel like I haven't seen many retellings of. Homefire by Kamala Shamsi is an incredible Antigone retelling, but given that there are so many Greek retellings at the moment, to the point that I think the market is somewhat saturated, I haven't really seen much in the way of Antigone stories, so definitely want to pick this one up because I do adore Antigone's story, and I'm very interested to see how Roth has approached this story. The Girl from the Other Side, I can't remember that much about this one. It's a graphic novel. I know that much. I know the art style is absolutely gorgeous. In a land far away, there were two kingdoms. The outside, where twisted beasts roamed that could curse with a touch, and the inside, where humans lived in safety and peace. The girl and the beast should never have met, and when they do, a quiet fairy tale begins. This is the story of two people, one human, one inhuman, who linger in the hazy twilight that separates night from day. It's meant to be really beautiful and kind of like my cup of tea, I would say. The next book on the list is Feast of Sparks, which is the second Thornchapel book. I loved A Lesson in Thorns, which is the first book in the series. It has that kind of dark, whimsy, modern fairy tale feel to it. Also, I really enjoy the way that Sierra Simone writes romance. She's probably my favourite romance writer, so really want this book, but for whatever reason, getting physical editions of the Thornchapel series is really quite difficult. So I haven't read the rest of the series, but desperately want this. The CEO of Cristo by Sophie Lark. I think this might be the only Sophie Lark that isn't available on KU. I could be wrong, but that's why. A little sneak peek to next year. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I am planning on doing a backlist tackled, which is what I'm calling my videos, where I read an author's whole backlist, like I did with John Mars. I am planning on doing a backlist tackled video for Sophie Lark next year, but I think she's got something like 26, 28 books in her backlist, so it is one that's going to take me a while, so don't expect it in like the first 3 months of the year. But the CEO of Cristo, I think, is the only one that isn't on KU, so that's why it's on my wish list. I believe it's a modern billionaire mafia romance retelling of the Count of Monte Cristo, but I could be miles off there. The Black Dagger Brotherhood books 1 to 10 collection. I like vampires, and I mean, I've heard mixed things about the Black Dagger. Apparently I can't say this series' name. I've heard mixed things about the Black Dagger Brotherhood, but it is something that's intrigued me, and why not get 10 books instead of just getting the first one and seeing if I like it. The Carrion City, The Dead Take the A Train by Cassandra Khaw. I have heard amazing things about this. Right, so one thing that you may or may not know about me, probably do if you've watched any number of my videos, is I am absolutely obsessed with Schwab in the non-creepy way. I have read all of Schwab's work, and they're the one author that I try to make their live events when they're in Scotland. I mean, she lives in Scotland, but still. And basically, I pay attention when Schwab recommends a book, because that's how I ended up picking up Build Your House Around My Body, and I ended up absolutely adoring it. So I always make a note when Schwab's like, oh yeah, this book's quite good. So when Schwab mentioned at one point that The Dead Take the A Train is, I think it's like weird horror, like it's really weird. But I remember Schwab saying that she liked this book, so onto my list it went. Tarot, No Questions Asked, Mastering the Art of Intuitive Reading by Teresa Reed. This is basically what it says on the tin. It's a book to help you intuitively be able to read tarot. I feel like being able to use tarot as a mirror to, get in touch with how you're feeling and responding and whatnot would be a lot more effective if I could intuitively read, and that is one of the things that I want to do the next year, is learn to be able to intuitively read tarot. And this book comes highly recommended for learning to do that, so that's why that's on the list. I'm realizing that I've got a lot more non-fic on this list than I would expect for myself. I mean, I think there's only 2 non-fic on there, but considering I don't really read non-fic, that's quite a lot. Mermaids Never Drown, edited by Zoraida Cordova and Natalie C. Parker. I'm not sure why Kerry Maniscalco's got the secondary credit for this book, because I know that it's Natalie C. Parker that's the co-editor. I really enjoyed Vampires Never Get Old. I have a somewhat so-so history with short stories, but because I enjoyed Vampires Never Get Old, I really want to try Mermaids Never Drown, and I am looking forward to Fairies Never Lie next year. Rosemary and Iron by Dorian Valentine. I'm going to click on this one. Like, I remember it sounded amazing, but I don't remember anything about it. So it says, when a ritual to restore mana goes wrong, and sends him into the distant past. Celestine Evervain seeks the help of a strange man inhabiting an even stranger estate in order to prevent the calamity that destroyed Mana. Faced with a fascinating world unlike his own, filled with vampires, fae, witches and old gods, and an unexpected love affair, will he even want to return to his time? Okay, so I think it was the vampires, faes and old gods that got me, and it sounds amazing and has come really highly recommended. And then we've got Angels Before Man, which I believe is a retelling of Satan's Downfall, which sounds fantastic. This Is My Body Given For You by Heather Parry. I saw Heather Parry at Granite Noir back in February, and this short story collection, and I think they've got a book that's yet to be announced but sounds really good. Just got me really wanting to pick up Parry's work. I still haven't read Orpheus Builds a Girl, but that sounds dark and twisted and everything I want in these cold months. Not that I'm going to be picking up many new books this month, but still, yeah, that's that book. Forgive Me Not by Jennifer Baker is a book that takes aim at the justice system, and I guess is taking a look at whether it really works and what rehabilitation looks like, but is also looking at grief and the way that it has impacted the main character, especially when she also carries guilt alongside that grief. All the Fighting Parts by Hannah V. Sawyer is looking at essay, and particularly essay that happens in a religious setting. It's meant to be really hard-hitting, really sad, but also an incredible book. YN by Esther Yee sounds really weird, but the good kind of weird. It's about obsession and K-pop and fan fiction. It sounds like it's going to pickle my brain, whether it's going to pickle my brain in a way that I'm going to enjoy or a way that I'm going to be like, I don't know, but I am intrigued by it, that's for sure. Lead Me Astray by Sondi Warner. I'm pretty sure the main character's dead in this book. Let's see what it says. Welcome to Overlay City in New Orleans, a shadowy in-between where the paranormal and the real world meet. Its newest resident, Ori Edison. So yeah, the main character has just died, and I believe she has to do kind of investigative work. It just sounds so good. The Queen of the Cicadas by V. Castro. Why can I not remember what any of these books are about? I'm really hoping my screen recording doesn't run out. Okay, let's see what it's saying. Oh yeah, that's right. There's like two timelines and they sort of intersect and are kind of creepy. So 2018, Belinda Alvarez has returned to Texas for the wedding of her best friend Veronica. The farm is the site of the urban legend La Reina de la Cicadas, the Queen of the Cicadas. In 1950s South Texas, a farm worker, Milagro, from San Luis Potosi, Mexico. I'm really sorry, I'd never studied Spanish. I should be better at pronunciation, but apparently not. Is murdered. Her death is ignored by the town, but not the Aztec goddess of death. Oof. Okay, that one I'm definitely going to butcher. Mictlantecuhtli. The goddess hears the dying cries of Milagro and creates a plan for both to be physically reborn by feeding on vengeance and worship. Belinda and the new owner of the farmhouse, Hector, find themselves immersed in the legend and realise it is part of their fate as well. That sounds horrific, but in the best way. And I've already clicked on And the Trees Crept In, which is another horror. It says, when Sela and Nori arrive at their aunt's home, it's immediately clear that the Blood Manor is cursed. The creaking of the house and the stillness of the woods surrounding them would be enough of a sign, but there are secrets too. The questions that Sela can't ignore. Who is the beautiful boy that's appeared from the woods? Who is the man that her little sister sees, but no one else? And why does it seem that, ever since they arrived, the trees have been creeping closer? It sounds dark and twisty, and I love it. Gorgeous Gruesome Faces by Linda Cheng is a book that was on my kind of most anticipated for the second half of the year list. There were only 10 books on the list, and I think I've read 6 of them, maybe. And this is the only book on the list that I don't own at this point. It is, well, it says it's sapphic, it's taking a look at the world of K-pop. I think there's some horror elements to it. It sounds brilliant, and I really want to read it. Not Forever But Now. Now you can't see the full note. Oh, there we go. So I've put this note on it that says, seriously, this book sounds ridiculously good. Check out the blurb if you don't believe me. Okay, so let's check out the blurb. So it says, meet Otto and Cecil, 2 brothers growing up privileged in the Welsh countryside. They enjoy watching nature shows, playing with their pet pony, impersonating their grandfather, and killing the help. Murder is the family business after all. Downton Abbey, this is not. However, it's not so easy to continue the family legacy, with the constant stream of threats and distractions seemingly leaping from the hedgerow. First there's the matter of the veritable cavalcade of escaped convicts that keep showing up at their door, not to mention the debaucherous new tutor who has a penchant for speaking in Greek and dismembering sex dolls. Then there's Mummy's burgeoning opiate addiction, and who knows where Daddy is. He just vanished one day after he and Mummy took a walk in the so-called ghost forest. With Grandfather putting pressure on Otto to step up, it becomes clear that this will all end only 2 ways: a nuclear apocalypse or just another day among the creeping thistle and tree peonies. And in a novel written by Chuck Palahniuk, either are equally possible. So, okay, this sounds like it's a weird book, but also it sounds like it's going to be really, really good. And I have a pretty good record with enjoying Palahniuk. I think I'm up to Adjustment Day. So if you start at the start of Palahniuk's backlist, like the first book he wrote, and then go forward in history, like I've read up to, but not including Adjustment Day. I also haven't read any of his graphic novels, but I've read his non-fiction and his short stories. So like I'm pretty sure I am going to enjoy it because it's a Palahniuk, but also the idea where murder is the family business and all these other things that are going on just sounds so good. And then the final book on my wish list for this year is House of Glass, Delirium, Nocturnum. I think it actually, the title goes the other way around. So it's Delirium, Nocturnum, and then like subtitle House of Glass. But I kind of stumbled across this when I was like going through my wish list in general, and I was like, oh, this sounds good. I mean, everything on this list does. Otherwise, it wouldn't be on my top wishes list. But it says, the woman of my dreams is the creature in everyone's nightmares. I slay the beasts that stalk this city of decay, but don't be fooled. None of them are as monstrous as me. 100 years of blood stains my tongue, and the only 2 things that keep me going are my vows to my sisters and my dark angel, my Aya. I'll do anything to protect her from demons, but who's going to protect her from me? And it's described as a sapphic vampire tale bleeding with desire and obsession, ecstasy and agony, a dangerous thirst for vengeance, and a forbidden slow burn femme love story with a shocking conclusion. And all of that just sounds incredible. But I think the thing that really kind of drew me to it is that Schwab has just finished a first draft of what is working titled as Bones, which is a sapphic vampire story that takes place over 300 years and is like cheekily described as toxic lesbian vampires, and it's all about rage and hunger and those kind of things, and I cannot wait to read it. I think, as we've thoroughly established in this video, I love a good vampire book, but Bones is not going to be out next year, or at least it's highly unlikely it's going to be out next year, because in order for it to be out then, it would have needed to be finished before Schwab went on tour in the summer, I believe. And at the moment, it's looking like it might be February 2025. That's what Schwab would like it to be. Check me with all the inside knowledge, not really. This is what Schwab said their Edinburgh tour date. But anyway, like, I am desperate to read this book. Like, I love Schwab's writing anyway, and like the fact that Schwab's written a sapphic vampire story, oh, sign me up yesterday, please and thank you. But in the meantime, Delirium Nocturnum sounds like exactly what I'm hoping Bones will be, but not in a way that I think, oh well, one's going to be better than the other. I think they're going to be very different stories, but it's going to be a story that's going to satisfy my hunger for what Bones is going to be. So yeah, I don't know how many books that has ended up being on my wish list, but those are the top books that have caught my eye this year. And if anyone ends up getting me a Christmas present this year, like, I mean in my real life, again, I am not making this video to ask people to buy me books. That is not my intention at all. But like, if anyone in my real life chooses to get me a Christmas present this year, and kind of isn't sure what to get me, I'm hoping that they end up getting me something from this list, because I think a lot of these books, well, I think all of these books sound incredible, and I'm very eager to get the chance to read any of them. Let me know in the comments which of the books on my list sound best to you. And also don't forget to let me know if you would like to see that video of favourite books that I don't physically own. But until next time, which is probably going to be tomorrow, love you. Bye.